The Nightly Business Report.
Good evening. Tonight, the newly proposed electricity bill gets the majority nod from the parliament. The opposition says the tendering of renewable energy is questionable. Starlink gets a star-like approval as it gets the government's first nod to provide internet to Sri Lanka based on satellites. Positivity was the keyword of the day as the Colombo bourse made gains. And Apple unseated as the second most valuable company in the world as Nvidia sets on higher ground.
From Studio 24, here's Sina Mayadune.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. Today, the Parliament ratified the new electricity law with 103 parliamentarian votings in favour and 59 against it.
The government says the new electricity bill aims to achieve a 70% renewable energy target and ensure that sustainable power continues for the nation. According to the Minister of Energy Kanchana Wijesekara, to reach 70% renewable energy, the government must seek an additional $12 billion of investments, which it cannot provide. Opposing views by the nation's opposition were voiced by the SJB, where the plant tenders were called into question, claiming that the renewable plants are being awarded without competitive tenders. The minister also explained that it has been proposed to reduce the rate charged per 1 unit of electricity for the first 30 units in the domestic category by 2 rupees. Accordingly, the new rate per electricity unit in that category will be 6 rupees. The tariff charge per unit for units consumed between 31 and 60 is expected to be reduced by 11 rupees, bringing the rate charge per unit to 9 rupees. Meanwhile, the charge for 60 to 90 units is to be reduced to 18 rupees. According to the minister, the current rate charge per unit in this category is 30 rupees. Furthermore, Wijesekara also disclosed that the tariff charge per unit for the units consumed between 90 to 180 will also be reduced by 20 rupees, bringing down the rate charge per unit to 30 rupees. In addition, the minister stated that the relevant proposal will be forwarded to the Public Utilities Commission tomorrow or Monday, and it is expected to be approved.
Sources say Sri Lanka and a group of creditors are in advanced talks over a deal to restructure the nation's debt with bilateral lenders. It says that the government and members of the Official Creditor Committee, which includes India, Hungary and the Paris Club, are exchanging draft versions of the accord, asking that they not be identified as the talks are private.
The documents are needed to finalize an agreement reached in November between the South Asian nation and the Official Creditor Committee and hash out the few remaining issues before a deal is settled. The country's notes due in November 2025 are trading at 59.6 cents on the dollar, while dollar-denominated bonds due in 2030 are trading around 58.6 cents on the dollar, continuing to recover after it had failed to agree on a deal with bondholders back in April. Sri Lanka needs to reach deals with bilateral lenders and bondholders to keep receiving disbursements under its $3 billion bailout from the International Monetary Fund. The IMF will evaluate the deals to ensure they provide enough relief to the island nation that it can meet its debt sustainability parameters. The country owes $10.6 billion to bilateral creditors, according to government data, with China representing over 40% of that debt. It also needs to restructure $12 billion in debt with overseas private creditors. Because the country has middle-income status, it is not part of the so-called Group of 20 Common Framework Debt Initiative, so talks with Chinese official creditors are conducted separately.
State Minister of Technology Kanaka Herath announced that the Telecommunication Regulatory Commission of Sri Lanka has granted preliminary approval for the implementation of the Starlink, the satellite unit of Elon Musk's SpaceX, to provide internet services in Sri Lanka.
Accordingly, the President's Media Division said that the approval is to be granted for Starlink to provide satellite-based internet services in Sri Lanka following a formal public consultation process. PMD added that the details of the public consultation will be published tomorrow. Sri Lanka's fast-tracked the approval process after Musk met with President Ranil Wickremesinghe last month in Indonesia on the sidelines of the 10th World Water Forum. Musk and Wickremesinghe had discussed ways to expand internet connectivity in rural Sri Lanka and potential collaboration on renewable energy. Unlike traditional telecommunication providers, which prioritize the most populated urban areas, Starlink aims to provide global coverage, extending internet connectivity to the even most remote corners of the planet. Starlink can provide internet access to virtually any location on Earth with a constellation of LEO satellites that can be repositioned at any point, and according to experts, reliable internet access is possible whether the use operates in the Congo, the Arctic, or on oil rig located hundreds of miles offshore. So far, Starlink has more than 2 million active customers and is available on all 7 continents and in over 60 countries. State Minister of Technology Kanaka Herath stated that Starlink will have 14 days for public consultation, and this will benefit multiple sectors including education and industries, and that they have requested concessions for rural schools as well.
So according to the Telecommunication Act, Section 22, the Commission has granted preliminary approval for Starlink to start operations in Sri Lanka. So this is and also there will be a 14 days for public consultation. This will benefit education sector, industries, fisheries, and also research. And we have requested concessions for rural schools also. So hopefully when this approval is granted, we'll be having connections within in the rural areas as well.
A special determination petition has been filed in the Supreme Court challenging the constitutionality of the Economic Transformation Bill, which was recently published in the Government Gazette.
The petitioners, who are office bearers of trade unions representing formal and informal workers from the private and state sectors, filed this petition seeking a declaration that the bill requires the approval by the people at a referendum in addition to the two-thirds approval of the Parliament. The petitioners allege that the provisions of the Economic Transformation Bill will have a serious impact on workers, particularly young workers. They further allege that the government did not consult with trade unions, workers, and specifically young workers who will face the direct consequences of this bill. In their petition, the petitioners stated that the proposed bill attempts to change the fundamental nature of the state from a socialist nature to neoliberal. The petitioners state that the bill promotes the free flow of capital, promoting unregulated foreign investments, and minimizes the role of the cabinet and parliament in economic policy making by transferring that power to Economic Commission and other bodies created under this bill. They maintain that the bill attempts to make Sri Lanka a neoliberal state, which is a violation of Article 1 as it changes the fundamental nature of the state.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe says that Sri Lanka will set a unit within the government that will fund programs aimed at promoting a green economy.
He said that they have planned to establish a dedicated unit within the Ministry of Finance focused on creating a green economy, and that this unit will be responsible for funding programs aimed at promoting a green economy, and they expect to have the entire system in place by the end of this year. Wickremesinghe said during World Environment Day celebrations held at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday that global temperatures have already risen beyond our expectations, and amidst these challenges, small countries like Sri Lanka are struggling to address climate change. He stated that to achieve our goals, we need to implement several new programs, and they've already begun this work. The president added that the first step is to establish a new legal framework, and they've already submitted the initial legislation to the parliament. Commenting further, he mentioned that the National Policy on Economic Transformation, as outlined in Section 3 of the Economic Transformation Bill, sets the goal of achieving net zero carbon emissions by 2050.
Time for a short commercial break now. Updates coming right after this from the Colombo stock market. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. The stock market seems to be in good hands as it marks another positive day for the third consecutive day in the week. Both the indices were recorded in the green at the end of today's trading session, giving investors hope. To get the insights of today's market performance, let's go to Kavya Sena-Adira, joining us from Capital Alliance Securities.
Today, the Colombo Stock Exchange concluded on a positive note compared to the previous trading session, brought on by positive sentiment among market participants. The market ended at 12,310.78 points, making a 121-point increase from the previous session. with a healthy turnover of 1.5 billion rupees. The turnover saw a slight improvement from yesterday's trading session, where the turnover at the end of the day was 1.2 billion rupees. The SL20 index also experienced an upward movement of 57 points to end the day at 3,650.88 points. Notable institutional engagement was observed across various sectors, with significant turnover in Hatton National Bank, Nation Trust Bank and Sampath Bank. The top 5 gainers for the day were Tess Agro Non-Voting, Renuka Hotels, Muller's PLC, Softlogic Finance and Brown's Beach Hotels. The top 5 losers for the day were SMB Leasing Non-Voting, Blue Diamonds Jewellery Non-Voting, Blue Diamonds Jewellery Voting, Nations Lanka Finance and SMB Leasing Voting. Foreign purchases amounted to 66 million rupees while foreign sales amounted to 96 million rupees, indication net sales by foreign parties.
While the country is observing inflation in some major products and services, Sri Lanka has faced severe weather conditions over the last couple of weeks and major changes in utility and fuel prices. To get an analysis on how this would impact on inflation in the upcoming months, let's go to Vinodini Rajapupati from First Capital Holdings.
In May 2024, food inflation decreased to 0% from 2.9% in April. Despite this improvement, current adverse weather conditions are affecting agricultural production and supply chains. However, this inflation increase is anticipated to dissipate over time, with inflation stabilizing around the CBSL's targeted level of 5% in the medium term, in line with First Capital Research's targeted level of 5 to 7% during the year. The situation is different for non-food items. Meanwhile, the recent decline in gas and fuel prices, along with the upcoming reduction in electricity prices, are expected to reduce overall transportation and production costs. As fuel prices drop, transportation costs decrease, leading to lower overall costs for non-food items. Consequently, non-food inflation is likely to decline due to these reduced transportation and production expenses.
Gold prices rose in Asian trade today, extending gains this week as weak economic data fueled expectations of interest rate cuts by the Federal Reserve, denting the dollar. Spot gold rose 0.6% to $2,370.40 an ounce, while the gold futures expiring in August fell 0.6% to $2,389.70 an ounce. The yellow metal was sitting on strong gains this week as traders steadily priced in bets that the Fed will begin cutting rates in September. A rate cut by the Bank of Canada and anticipation of a widely expected cut by the European Central Bank also boosted optimism over loosening monetary conditions across the globe. This saw the yellow metal advance even as broader risk appetite improved. Spot gold was now trading less than $100 below a record high hit in May, but the factors behind its advance this time were different. Oil prices rebounded today, continuing a recovery from a 4-month low. Benchmarks rise amid broader market gains. Brent crude futures for August delivery rose 0.5% to $78.80 per barrel, while West Texas Intermediate crude futures increased 0.6% to $74.26 per barrel. Both benchmarks had surged nearly 2% yesterday after dropping to 4-month lows earlier in the week. The upstick was driven by optimism over the prospect of lower interest rates in the coming months, which offset negative signals from an unexpected rise in U.S. crude inventories. Traders also expressed skepticism about the OPEC Plus plans to start scaling back production cuts later this year, especially given the recent weakness in oil prices. The Sri Lankan rupee has depreciated further against the US dollar at commercial banks in Sri Lanka today compared to yesterday. According to People's Bank, the buying and selling rates of the US dollar have increased from 296 rupees and 55 cents to 296 rupees and 79 cents, and from 306 rupees and 59 cents to 306 rupees and 84 cents respectively. At Commercial Bank, the buying rate of the US dollar has increased from 295 rupees and 84 cents to 296 rupees and 9 cents, while the selling rate has also increased from 306 rupees to 306 rupees and 25 cents. Let's see how the rupee behave against the other global currencies. Let's go for a short break now. This is an Daily Business Report. Welcome back to the Daily Business Report. Air India, India's leading global airline, has selected Hayleys, Sri Lanka's leading blue-chip multinational conglomerate, as its general sales agent for passenger sales in Sri Lanka.
Leveraging the expertise, scale and reliability of the Hayleys Group, the partnership will further enhance Air India's presence in Sri Lanka to support the airline's ongoing transformation and global expansion. Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Hayleys PLC, Mohan Panditage, said that Hayleys is honoured to represent Air India in Sri Lanka, and together they share a commitment to corporate responsibility and uphold similar values, allowing them to offer unparalleled credibility, strength, stability and value to our customers. He added that the improved connectivity resulting from this collaboration will add greater momentum to Sri Lanka's resurgent tourism industry, creating value for our nation and supporting the growth aspirations of Air India. Air India operates 17 weekly flights between India and Sri Lanka, contributing to the growing trade and tourism between the two countries. With its vast global network spread across 5 countries, Air India offers convenient connections via Delhi or Chennai to passengers travelling between Sri Lanka and the rest of the world, particularly North America, Europe and Australia.
The annual Sri Lanka Coffee Festival was held today for the 3rd time at the Jetwing Lighthouse Hotel premises in Galle. The event was organised by the Lanka Coffee Association with the partnership of Australia's Market Development Facility and Jetwing Hotels.
The Sri Lankan Coffee Festival, which began in 2022, was held for the 3rd time this year at Jetwing Lighthouse Hotel in Galle, celebrated in a grand manner. Kushan Samaratna, chairman of the Sri Lankan Coffee Association, highlighted the festival's primary objective, which is to emphasize the vast potential for promoting Sri Lankan coffee on a larger scale. He stressed that the association is dedicated to showcasing how Sri Lankan coffee can be elevated into the global market. The Sri Lankan Coffee Festival is a key initiative aimed at achieving the association's goals of promoting the unique and special qualities of Sri Lankan coffee. The event brought together everyone involved in the coffee chain, including farmers, processors, roasters, marketers, and government officials. The Australian High Commissioner graced the event as the chief guest, adding an extra layer of prestige to the occasion.
Sparsilon added another accolade to its bag by clinching a double win at the prestigious Pure Beauty Global Awards 2024, held recently in London following a winning streak of 17 international awards in the global beauty circuit.
The Pure Beauty Global Awards celebrates the world's best in the beauty from the past year. More than 400 entries from 40 countries competed in the awards this year, where the Pure Beauty team and the expert panel of judges choose the brightest products of 2024. Sparsilon was among the handful of multiple award winners of the night, sweeping the board in the natural and organic category by winning the Best Natural and Organic Icon for the Sleep Intense Dream Balm and the Best Natural Beauty Product for the True Turmeric Vitamin C Glow Renewing Treatment Serum. In addition, the brand was final on the Best Wellness Icon category for the De-Stress Harmonizing Balm. The win following Sparsilon's exceptional achievement at the Universal Beauty Awards UK, held earlier this year, as the most awarded Ayurveda wellness brand. Sparsilon has dominated this year's Beauty and Wellness Awards calendar by clinching more than 17 international awards for 2024.
Singhagiri Private Limited is relaunching its online shopping site to provide an optimal user experience for its valuable customers through www.singhagiri.lk.
The Singagiri.lk website features a streamlined, well-organized, efficient and agile online purchasing system that allows customers to easily place orders while browsing their preferred products and services. The Singagiri.lk online platform is designed to support each customer by offering a unique online purchasing experience, facilitating multiple purposes such as product browsing, purchasing, order placement, an easy checkout process, and secure payment gateways. To celebrate the milestone achievement, Singagiri Private Limited is offering a wide range of special discounts of up to 40% on its products and services until the 4th of July 2024. Customers who purchase through the online store during the first 2 weeks will be rewarded with special discounts including up to 40% off on selected kitchen appliances, bundle offers, laptops and free delivery island-wide. Along with easy payment options and credit card installment plans with selected banks and financial institutions, Visa, MasterCard and American Express payment methods, bank transfers and cash-on-delivery services.
Let's take a short commercial break. This is an Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Global markets rose today after Wall Street barreled to records yesterday as the frenzy around artificial intelligence technology keeps sending stocks higher. Tokyo's Nikkei 225 index climbed 0.6% to 38,703.51, while the Hang Seng in Hong Kong was 0.3% higher to 18,480.61. Shanghai Composite Index dropped 0.5% at 3,048.79. Australia's S&P ASX 200 gained 0.7% to 7,821.80 after data from the Australian Bureau of Statistics showed the country's trading surplus rebounded in April, with exports falling 2.5% and imports dropping 7.2%. South Korea's markets were closed for a holiday. At Wall Street yesterday, the S&P 500 and Nasdaq indices hit record closing highs, powered mainly by technology stocks as markets digested economic data that would support a much-expected start to the Federal Reserve's policy easing cycle.
The S&P 500 and Nasdaq closed at record highs on Wednesday, as did shares of Nvidia. The Dow gained 0.25%, the S&P 500 rose nearly 1.2%, and the Nasdaq soared almost 2%. The May private payrolls report on Wednesday became the latest data to suggest an easing labor market, which could prompt the Federal Reserve to begin cutting interest rates this year. This followed a report on Tuesday that showed job openings fell in April to the fewest in more than 3 years. Traders now see a nearly 70% chance of a September rate cut, according to the CME's FedWatch tool. Among stock movers, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing joined Nvidia in the chip rally. Its shares gained nearly 7%, also closing at a record high. Hewlett-Packard Enterprise rose more than 10.5% after forecasting third-quarter revenue above street expectations, helped by upbeat demand for its AI servers. And Dollar Tree slipped nearly 5% after a disappointing quarterly profit forecast. The budget retailer said it would explore options that include a potential sale or spin-off of Family Dollar.
Nvidia has overtaken Apple to become the world's second most valuable company. Shares in the chipmaker jumped over 5%, taking its market value to a little over $3 trillion, putting it just ahead of the iPhone maker.
Nvidia has overtaken Apple to become the world's second most valuable company. Shares in the chipmaker jumped over 5% Wednesday, taking its market value to a little over $3 trillion. That put it just ahead of the iPhone maker. Nvidia stock has been soaring on bets it's going to be the big winner from the AI boom. The firm's chips power products like ChatGPT and are in hot demand around the world. It has raised sales forecasts over and over again. That has seen the stock gain 147% so far this year. Now some analysts say it looks likely Nvidia could overtake Microsoft as well to become the world's most valuable company. One said the big difference is that the chip firm is already making big money from AI, while rivals are having to spend huge amounts on the technology. As for Apple, it's been struggling with weak demand for its phones and mounting competition in China. Investors have also criticised it for lagging rivals in offering AI services. Its stock has barely risen this year.
Well, that concludes today's Nightly Business Report. We'll see you again tomorrow with the latest happenings around the business globe. Until then, I'm Sina Mayadune. Have a good night.